Alrighty, I'm gonna call the meeting to order, May 28th, 2024, 6:30, Board of Selectmen meeting. Welcome, Mr. Borowski. Please,
All about timing.
yes, please all stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Alright, moving right along. We do have some meeting minutes that need approval. Anybody have any motions for the May 14th meetings?
Mr. Chairman, if it pleases the board, I'd like to make a motion to approve both May 14th and May 20th.
Second that.
Any discussion?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No.
Nope.
Unanimous. Alright, moving right along. Community relations and announcements.
FY 2025 senior abandonment form are to be turned into by June 30th, 2024. Applications can be found on the town's website on the water sewer page. Charlton Public Library presents Motown Hits and History concert performances. That's on Thursday, May 30th from 6:30 to 7:30 in the Dexter Hall Auditorium. This is a 1-hour concert. Melodious Zach will perform Motown favorites and entertain you with the trivia. Zach will also discuss the cultural significance of Motown and how it changed over the years. This concert is free and open to all. No registration is required. This program is supported in part by the grant from the Charlton Cultural Council, a local agency which is supported by the Mass Cultural Council, a state agency. Additional parking for that event is available across the street at the town hall.
Alright, thank you. Anybody here for open forum? Nobody's moving forward, so on to appointments and resignations.
All right, the first appointment for this evening is for the light equipment operator for the highway department. 13 applications were received for the light equipment operator position. Interviews were offered to 5 and conducted by Lynn Dyer, Nick Peel, and Mark Oliver. They are recommended the appointment of Joshua Foster with a starting date of June 17th, 2024. The appointment is pending reference check, Corey background and driver records check, and obtaining a pre-employment physical and drug screen. I recommend the board make the appointment. I know he wasn't available to attend this evening, but Nick is here for any questions that you have.
Nick, always nice to see you. So moved.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous.
Our next appointment is for the Economic Development Commission. There are 2 openings on the Economic Development Commission, each for a 3-year term. Attached are talent bank forms from Howard Carney and Patricia Stockwell seeking to fill those seats. I recommend the board make the appointment. I believe Mr. Carney is here this evening.
Oh, hey, Mr. Carney.
Good evening.
Thanks for volunteering.
No problem.
So we have both?
Yes.
Yeah. So moved on both.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous.
Thank you again. Looking forward to partnering.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Take care.
All right, the next is a resignation of the per diem dispatcher. Attached is a letter from Sherry Kaiser resigning as per diem dispatcher for the Charlton Police Department as of May 21st, 2024. Board should accept her resignation, and a letter thanking her for her service to the town is in your sign.
Through a chair.
Go ahead.
So moved with regret.
Second.
Any discussion?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. Scheduled appointments.
All right, we're about 5 minutes out of time.
Want to jump to new business, Mr. Chair? See you, Nick.
Take care, Nick.
We could probably knock out all 3 new businesses.
Yep.
All right, just get down to that.
Find the page.
All right, the first item under new business is to authorize the use of electronic signatures for license renewals. We're working with Permitize on license renewals issued by the Board of Selectmen. They're requesting the use of electronic signatures for the licenses that are issued. I'd ask the board to approve the request.
Through a chair?
Yes.
Andrew, does this mean that we still have to sign, like, all 100 of them?
No, you just would make a
Like
motion
one?
to do, and then once we do the signature to be
Just the
essentially
one?
approved, they'll
Perfect.
get a copy with your digital signature.
That makes me very happy.
Yeah.
So moved.
Discussion?
Can the customers do that as well, or is it just us? That's for our internal use?
It's so that way they can apply electronically and then receive the permit back electronically. Just so that way we're avoiding the printing out of all of them, having you physically
yeah,
sign and
yeah.
then having to re-upload, just,
We've been
Yeah,
working for it
150.
for a
Oh,
while.
yeah.
Is this the same system the Board of Health is using?
yes.
Very, very efficient.
Is it? Thank God.
Good.
I can only sign,
All right.
like, 70 every year before I lose my mind.
Any further discussion?
Oh.
All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous.
The next is the approval of your summer schedule. So in the past, each selectman's vacation schedule is in the summer. One meeting is held June, July, and August. Does the board wish to set the summer meeting schedule as follows: June 11th, July 9th, and August 13th? Should the need for a meeting be called, each member will be notified.
Pete, through you? I'm fine with all those dates, so I'll at least make the motion for discussion. But if we have to change them, that's fine too. I mean,
I'll second for discussion and just throw out there that I am out of town July 9th. I think I emailed Andrew and Mary, I'm not sure if I did you. The 16th and I think the 30th were the only 2 Tuesdays in July I was in town. You don't have to move it for me, I'm just saying I'm not available on the
16th,
9th.
I'm out.
oh, you're on the 16th?
Yeah.
You can do the 23rd if you want.
I don't care.
I'm the 30th, so you don't hold it up on me then.
You sure?
It's up to you, because the 30th is the only, I think it's the 30th is the only Tuesday in July, other than the day Andrew's gone.
Oh, you're free on the 30th?
Correct.
Oh, I'm sorry. Might be easier to stay to the 9th.
Yeah.
It's fine with me.
We'll defer any.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything major, we'll just like kick it,
Okay.
or call a special meeting if we need be.
Okay.
So we have a motion, we have a discussion. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous.
Next is a request to adopt a code of conduct. So as requested by Chairman Lancet, a code of conduct has been drafted for town elected and appointed officials for consideration by the board. The code of conduct outlines a manner in which both elected and appointed officials on town boards are expected to conduct themselves in the performance of their duties. The draft was based on recommendations provided by our insurance carrier, Maya. What are the wishes of the board on this matter?
Mr. Chair, through you?
Yes.
First off, thank you for bringing this forward. It's kind of strange we never had one, but regardless, I think we're all adults. But that being said, I think having something written down is a good idea, so I applaud you for that. So at least for discussion, I'll make the motion to approve, accept, whatever term we want to use. Adopt.
I'll second for discussion on your first discussion.
For discussion, what brought this up? Is it, I have like 3 questions. So what brought this up? Why didn't we have it before? And does it match with Mass General Law and our bylaws, what we have now?
Yes, I recognize that we didn't have it, so I thought we needed it. I don't really want to get into specific details in a public forum, but I think this is a valid, code of conduct, how elected officials should behave, both when they're in meetings and out of meetings. And it's just some general guidelines and principles, reminding people that the citizens of Charlton did put you in these duly elected positions to do a role. And with Andrew's assistance, burdening most of the work, he did the research and made sure that it was compliant with MGL.
Right. Yeah, these are based off recommendations that have been provided to really all municipalities that they should be adopting. It kind of came mostly out of COVID when there was a lot of public upheaval. They kind of recommended a lot of boards to do it. Upon the recommendation of Chairman Lancet, I put these together for your consideration. So,
Fine with
I'm
me.
good for it.
I'm good.
I like everything.
Yeah,
in
I'm
writing.
fine. I was just wondering where it came from, that's all. I'm fine with
All right, so we have a motion, we have a second, we have discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
that. Aye.
All right, passes unanimous.
Close.
all right, we're at 40. Let's back up here.
Move it.
The 40. Do we have anybody here from water and sewer?
Good. Paul's.
You you guys have a quorum, or do we have, is there anybody online? If there's anybody on Zoom that's representing the Water and Sewer Commission, could you just pop a line in the Q&A so we know to promote you as a panelist? One. So
Dave Cantwell, I'm here.
Hey, Dave. All right, Dave, is there anybody else that's,
I believe, Paul's supposed to be coming to the town hall.
yep,
And Eric and Peter are supposed to be on Zoom as well as Mr. Jennings.
okay, I see Peter.
Is here?
You got a majority.
Yeah,
You got a quorum.
as long as I can get Peter in, you'll have a quorum, so. All right. All right, Dave, I think you guys got quorum, so if you want to call your meeting to order.
Yeah, I'll call to order, the meeting for the Water and Sewer Commission.
All right, so we were notified that there's an opening of the Water Sewer Commission for a member due to Mr. Jennings not seeking reelection. Mr. Jennings has submitted a talent bank form seeking to be appointed to the Water and Sewer Commission until May of 2025 annual town election. The vote for appointment must be done jointly and held by roll call vote of both boards, and the term expiration date would be until May 25th, 2025 at the town election. So
So
Dave,
to have, Mr. Jennings appointed, he's been on the board for about 6 or 7 years, he's a lifetime resident. So I don't know if, somebody in our board needs to make a motion to have them appointed, or somebody on your board.
I always go back and forth if you actually need a motion for that, because if you had multiple people, I mean, either way, I think if we, I mean, it's only Russ anyway, I mean that nicely. If we just do a roll call, I think that,
Yeah.
obviously Pete through.
That's fine. All right,
That's fine.
we'll just do a roll call vote. We'll start with water and sewer, so roll call.
All right, Mr. McLam,
Peter, you
Paul
on mute?
Gagner,
I need to give it a aye. Or-
Paul,
Eric Bernard,
Paul's eye.
Paul's and I.
oh,
myself, David Cantwell, aye.
Singer, aye.
Aye.
That's an aye.
Masha, aye.
Aye.
All right. Russ, welcome back.
All right, we're all set.
Thanks, Pete.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Dave. Thanks, Pete. Oh, Mary? I'm sorry. I'm so used to doing it. You're my bag, sorry.
Who made the motion, who seconded? We need a motion to appoint them before roll call.
You know what, I'll make it.
I-
Yep, go ahead, Pete. I'm sorry, Dave, go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna make, I made the motion, but
I'll second it from our side.
That was confusing.
All set.
All right, we're good.
She got it.
Yep.
Thanks,
All right,
guys.
thanks, Dave.
Thanks, Paul.
appreciate it.
Everyone said
We
killing it
still
today,
have
by
a
the
couple
way.
minutes. Jacob, would you like to give us your report?
You're killing it, man. I love it.
So since the school year is coming to a close, there hasn't been too many events recently. There have been 2 new staff members to join the school. Miss Barrett will be the new assistant principal, and Miss C will be the new human resource specialist. The junior prom will be at the Wachusett Mountain Ski Lodge, and the senior prom was at the Southbridge Conference Center. And then seniors have completed their high school education and will graduate Friday at the DCU Center in Worcester. Also, sophomores have taken their last MCAS. Also, AP exams are all done for this year. Finally, the girls' lacrosse season has come to an end for this year.
All right.
Thank you, Jacob.
Thanks, Jake. Nice job as always.
We're right on time.
And it's 6:45, so we do have a public hearing that's gonna come to order. We have a dog complaint This, this public hearing is called pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 140, Section 157, on the complaint of a dangerous dog owned by the Murphys. All members that, or all people present that wish to speak need to come to the table up front and duly sign in and be sworn in by Mr. Golis.
So anybody that is planning on speaking. Just sign in.
First meeting? Yeah, man, killing it today. Just keep it moving, brother. That's what I'm doing.
I gotta use the phone call now. All right. Raise your right hand. I state your name. Do you solemnly swear in a prayer that the testimony I'm about to give in this manner will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, acknowledging this oath under the pains and penalties of perjury. So help me God. Mr. Chairman, how are you?
All right, thank you, Andrew. All right, Emily, can you please come up as the animal control officer and give your report?
On Monday, April 29th, 2024, I received a call from a bystander named Erin, who stated that she believed a dog or person was just attacked by another dog. She stated that she heard screaming from the upstairs level of her workplace, which resides on the corner of Stafford Street and Janes Way. While on the phone with her, she was able to find the victim and her dog at 2 Janes Way, who is owned by Don Dyer, and briefly give me their information so I could respond to the incident. I could hear while on the phone with Erin that Kristen was crying and very upset. Kristen and Dawn believed the dog to be owned by the Murphys, who reside at 1 Marissa Circle. Erin stated that she wanted to file a police report as well as response from myself. I immediately called Jean Murphy from 1 Marissa Circle to see if this was her dog and if it was back home, which she stated that she was at work and would have to call her husband. While en route to the incident, the Charlton Police Department called me to notify me of the dog attack that just occurred in the area of Janes Way and Marissa Circle, and that an officer and the ambulance were en route. Upon arrival, I was greeted by Officer Martacci and 2 women, Kristen, who was holding a puppy, and Don Dyer from 2 Janes Way, who were on their way to the victim's house. The victim is known as Kristen Lemire, who resides at 10 Janes Way with her 6-month-old boxer puppy named Penny. Officer Martacci notified me that he went to the Murphys at Marissa Circle before I arrived and spoke to Sean Murphy, the husband, who stated that the dog must have jumped the fence but is back home now. Once we arrived at Kristen's house, Kristen explained to me what happened. Kristen stated that she was walking on the corner of Marissa Circle and Janes Way when out of nowhere a brown dog started to attack her and Penny. Don Dyer was inside working at the time when she heard screaming and ran outside to witness the altercation. Dawn was able to help Kristen and Penny away from the dog and quickly walk them both into her home when the dog eventually ran off. Kristen had 3 bite wounds on her left hand that were checked out by the ambulance but didn't require immediate attention at the time, and Penny suffered what appeared to be possibly a few scratches or possible bite abrasions on her underside. Pictures were documented. Don Dyer stated I think I took this from my computer instead of the one that was filed, because I made some changes prior to submitting it to the log. Do you guys have a copy of that?
I think the chief might have one.
Oh, okay, thank you. I think I changed some things. Okay, yeah. I was able to have a phone conversation with Jean Murphy later in the day about the incident. Jean seemed very distraught and upset as she was at work during the incident and didn't know the full story. Jean said that they aren't sure how the dog got out, whether he jumped the fence or slipped through somewhere. She stated that the dog that escaped was Hulk. Jean stated that she didn't know why Hulk did this, as he's never shown aggression before. She stated that they were doing everything they could to prevent this from happening again. I told her that we were waiting for any camera footage that may be accessible and statements from everyone involved. I told Jean that this needs to be addressed as soon as possible, as the neighborhood should not live in fear and we do not want this happening again. Jean was already aware that her dog, Hulk, had to be quarantined for 10 days. Hulk is up to date on his shots and is licensed with the town. This is the first incident with Hulk. I also issued the Murphys a $25 violation for running at large, first offense. I received Dawn and Jeff Dyer's statement, as well as a short clip from their outside camera of the incident. The video looks to show the tail end of the altercation. It showed Dawn running out her front door, up to Kristen, who is holding her puppy Penny, walking towards Dawn's house, while the other dog continues to jump up and down on Kristen. Hulk eventually walks off and wanders around the street for a minute before taking off. In the clip, you can hear Kristen yelling for help, crying, and breathing heavily. I also received a statement from Kristen Lemire, who stated that she believed she got the brunt of the altercation and sent me pictures of her hand and her thighs where the injuries were. Kristen stated that she got Penny looked at by her vet, and Penny did not incur any injuries. I was able to have a phone conversation with Alyssa Morin, who lives at 2 Marissa Circle, right next to the Dyers at 2 Janes Way and across the street from the Murphys. Alyssa stated that her camera faces that direction, but her front porch railings are in the way and you could not see anything. She also stated that she was not able to get outside until after the incident occurred, so a written statement from her was not necessary. I was able to speak with the Vashons, who reside at 6 Janes Way, who stated they did not see the incident happen, so a statement was not necessary, and their cameras are not pointed in that direction. I was able to speak with Aaron Berthium, who owns and works at Slim's Sewer Service on the corner of Stafford Street and Janes Way, who had been the initial party who called me to inform me that someone had just been attacked by a dog. Erin did not see the incident. She only heard the screaming of Kristen and checked in on her after the initial incident and called me to report it. It is with all due respect for all parties involved that I do not believe that this dog should be deemed a dangerous dog. Due to this being a first-time incident for this dog, the Murphys are also taking the proper preventative measures to ensure that this does not happen again. I have cited the Murphys for running at large per the Charlton Bylaws, Chapter 110, Section 4. I will also be following up with the Murphys to ensure that the measurements they are taking are adequate. If the Board of Selectmen chooses to deem Hulk a dangerous dog, these would be my recommendations. Please note, the Murphys already have a fenced-in backyard that is 4 feet in height, and it is with my understanding that they are looking into extending the fence height to 6 feet. Please note, we are also unaware of how the dog escaped. The first order that the dog be humanely restrained, provided, however, that no order shall provide that a dog deemed dangerous be chained, tethered, or otherwise tied to an inanimate object, including, but not limited to, a tree, post, or building. That there be self-closing and self-latching doors for each exterior entrance, including the entryways to the fenced-in yards, ensuring that the latches cannot be easily opened by the dog. That the fence height be extended to a height that prevents the dog from jumping the fence, or add an electric fence as a second barrier. There are multiple ways to achieve this. That the dog is not left unattended or unsupervised or on a tether until the orders are complied with. That removed from the premises of the owner or the premises of the person keeping the dog shall be securely and humanely muzzled and restrained with a chain or tethering device having a minimal tensile strength of 300 pounds and not exceeding 3 feet in length. A humane basket muzzle is a basket-type muzzle to ensure that the dog is able to breathe freely while being walked. That the owner or keeper of the dog provide proof of insurance in any amount not less than $100,000, ensuring that the owner or keeper against any claim, loss, damage, or injury to persons, domestic animals, or property resulting from the acts, whether intentional or unintentional, of the dog, or proof that reasonable efforts were made to obtain such insurance if a policy has not been issued, provided, however, that if a policy of insurance has been issued, the owner or keeper shall produce such policy upon request of the hearing authority or a justice of the district court, and provided further that if a policy has not been issued, the owner or keeper shall produce proof of efforts to obtain such insurance. The Murphys may have insurance already, which we can confirm at a further time. That the owner or keeper of the dog provide to the licensing authority or animal control officer or other entity identified in the order information by which a dog may be identified throughout its lifetime, including but not limited to photographs, videos, veterinary examination, tattooing, or microchip implantations of a combination of any such methods of identification. It's with my understanding that the dog was rescued, and most rescues implant microchips before adopting, so we can also confirm that the dog has a microchip. If the Board of Selectmen chooses to deem this dog a nuisance dog, these would be my recommendations. That the dog be humanely restrained, provided, however, that no order shall provide that a dog deemed dangerous be chained, tethered, or otherwise tied to an inanimate object, including but not limited to a tree, post, or building. That there be self-closing and self-latching doors for each exterior entrance, including the entryways to the fenced-in yards, ensuring that the latches cannot be easily opened by the dog. That the fence height be extended to a height that prevents the dog from jumping the fence, or add an electric fence as a second barrier. And that the dog is not left unattended or unsupervised, or on a tether until the order is complied with. That is it.
Before Emily steps down, does anybody have any questions?
Yeah, Peter, for you?
Yeah.
Emily or Mr. Murphy, how old's Hulk? Roughly?
Sir, approximately 5 years old.
Oh, 5 years? Thank you.
I also want to add that there was some questioning on Kristen Lemire's dog Penny. Penny was vaccinated, I believe, at the end of March, and has been licensed since April 8th. I did not add that in my report, but it is important. And Sean can probably speak on Jean's behalf, but Jean did email me and let me know that they cannot identify the dog as Hulk with the video that was given. So I just want to add that.
Thank you.
I have one question. Mr.
Yeah.
Murphy, how long do you have a dog? The dog is 5, but you adopted him, is that correct?
Yes, approximately 5 years.
Oh, so you do have him since puppy?
No, I'm sorry, I'd have to look at it, at the records. He wasn't a puppy, but he was probably a year. They don't know his age, so they estimate. About the same size.
Yeah, but more than like 6 months. You've had it for a couple
Oh,
of
yeah,
years now.
it's been about the same size.
Bill has an opportunity, so just sticking to the script.
Sorry.
All right, thank you, Emily.
Thanks.
Next, going in order, Ms. Lemire, do you want to give any statements, make any statements?
Well, thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for giving us the time. I
Please
stand,
pull the microphone closer.
Okay.
It works like, yeah.
hear me? I sit here actually as a representative of the entire neighborhood of Marissa Circle and James Way. And some of them are behind me and some of them weren't able to attend tonight. Some of the comments I'm going to make are relevant to this process, and I'm going to follow the process and respect the process, and I thank you again. Some of my comments need to be said because this neighborhood has been living in fear for years. Mr. Murphy's going to say this is his dog's first offense. This is his household's third offense. A dog was disemboweled on his property, managed to live through it, thank God. Another dog was murdered in the street just a couple years ago. And then there was Penny and I. I don't walk up in Mr. Murphy's cul-de-sac for that reason. I was innocently walking in Jane's Way, and I was unprovoked attacked. I didn't see that dog coming. I lost my 13-year-old boxer in December, and my 5-month-old, at the time boxer, is the love of my life, and therefore my heart is breaking. I can't walk her anymore. She's a puppy. Guess what she does during the day if she's not walked? So I drive to a different neighborhood in a different town, and I love Charlton. I grew up in Charlton. I drive to a different neighborhood and I walk my dog. But you know what? I'm thankful it was me, because I am strong and Penny's 40 pounds. Renee needs to walk Darius. He's 110 pounds. She wasn't saving Tucker. She was not saving Tucker. Dawn couldn't save Duchess. We live in fear. Other comments I would like to make is, Mr. Murphy didn't reach out, nor did Jean. Jean has my number. Afterwards, am I okay? Yeah, I'm okay physically. I'm not okay mentally. Thanks for asking. Did not offer to cover any of my medical expenses. There's no heart. And we have this amazing neighborhood. We're very different people, are we not, guys? But we managed to live together in solidarity. We managed to get along. We look out for each other. Tucker goes pee on my lawn, and I love it. And we look out for each other. And there's one house in what, 10 houses? We don't want to go near. We can't go near. And we live in fear of retaliation from that man right there. I'm almost done. It was also said, and again, this is speculation, when they got these dogs, they celebrated that these dogs can jump 7 feet. So I kindly ask your reconsideration that a 6-foot fence not be enough. I have had neighbors say, I will move. Actually, first offense, those neighbors did move. They live in Stony Brook. Very happy. The neighbors next to them want to move. They're crying out to me the next day, saying, I will move, I will put in a bigger fence. It's not our problem. There is one problem here. And I ask you guys, with all due respect for all the beautiful work you do in our town, to take every consideration into fact to please address this matter. It's taken a lot for me to be here, to say this, to put my heart on my sleeve. And if they want to say anything, great. If they don't want to, I just want to thank them for being here, and I thank you for listening to me.
Thank you.
Any questions for me?
She's not for Chris, so.
All right, thank you. All right, before we move to the owner's testimony, anybody else here that wants to testify, please come up and state your name.
Hi, my name is Julie Richard. I live at 3 James Way. I've lived there now for 18 years. I'm one of the original owners there. And I've witnessed year after year exactly what Kristen has described. I have 2 Chihuahuas. I've always had Chihuahuas. I have an electric fence. And I don't let my dogs outside without being with them because we're afraid. My daughter is not allowed to walk on Marissa's Circle because I'm afraid. She's 4'11", she's 17. I'm afraid. Everybody in the neighborhood knows not to let their children walk on the street. And this didn't even happen there. This happened at the corner. Literally 24 hours the day before my daughter was walking my Chihuahua, which we rarely do. But she had a friend over and she wanted to walk the dog. Something that you would think you could do in a cul-de-sac, in a nice neighborhood, where you should feel safe. And we can't walk our children. We can't walk our dogs. I'm afraid to stand in my own yard. I live directly across the street. And I look at that fence, and every time I hear a noise, my head pops up. He had construction going on the other day. I was hoping he was putting in a bigger fence, honestly. And every time I heard the hammer, I looked up because it scared me. It's just not a way that we should be living like this. And it's not fair that the people that protect us are the ones we're afraid of. These dogs are not pets. This is not the first dog that he's had that's killed dogs, and it won't be the last. He buys them to protect himself. They are guard dogs. They live outside almost 90% of that time. They're not pets. And it's not fair to the rest of the neighborhood. It's how many more people are going to have watch their dog die in front of them with their daughter, watch their dog die. It wasn't mentioned, but Dawn and her daughter, who was younger than my daughter, so probably 14 or 15, witnessed her dog get ripped apart in front of her on her street in a cul-de-sac. It just seems that they should be able to do something more for us. It's been a long time coming. Thank you. I appreciate your time.
Okay, any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Paul Walsh. I live at 7 James Way in Charlton. I've lived there since 2012. Sean Murphy introduced himself to me, knocking on my door, warning about his dogs, warning us about his dogs, and that they will attack and they will hurt your children, to keep an eye on your kids and keep them away from my house. That's how he introduced himself to me back in 2012. I have 5 children living in my house. 2 of them are only 10 years old, little boy and little girl. We don't allow them to go up near Morris Way. We're always afraid of those dogs. He warned us the minute we moved in, and we took that warning into consideration. We've heard the stories of his summer home and where his dogs attacked another dog in his summer home that's not in our neighborhood. And that dog, I guess, was put down. And then the 3 other incidences that happened in the neighborhood. How long has this got to go on? It's not about the dog, it's about the owner. And the owner is irresponsible with animals. We have an entire farm. We have cows, goats, chickens, ducks, and dogs, 2 of them. One of them is a hunting dog. Never hurt a fly as far as a person is concerned. She goes outside, she hangs out with the neighbors' dogs. All the neighbors' dogs all play down in our area in the cul-de-sac. We never have any issues. They use each other's yards and all that. We make sure we clean up after our dogs. We're very respectable of the neighbors. We never have these problems. And it's always a worry about his dogs and going near his house. The 2 cul-de-sacs are right there. Our older kids have electric scooters. They want to ride down the road because they can't go up Marissa Way. And there's no sidewalks down the road. It's not safe for the kids to go down the Stafford Street. It's not. Why can't they go up Marissa Way? Why shouldn't they be able to? We live in a cul-de-sac. That's why we bought the home. I got out of the city, came out to the country to a cul-de-sac so my kids have a safe place to go outside and play. And we can't. It's not right. Something needs to be done about it. Thank you for your time.
How many families on that street?
How many families?
Yeah, how many houses?
Oh, there's what, 13?
13 houses total,
Yeah.
2 cul-de-sacs.
To get to the
These are
cul-de-sac.
corner of the 2 cul-de-sacs.
There's one cul-de-sac this way when you first pull in, that's Marissa Way, it goes up the hill and then continues straight down Jane's Way, the other cul-de-sac.
That's about 7 houses on each street.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other testimony before we go to the owner? Okay, Mr. Murphy?
Good evening. Might be easier if I just hand these out to you.
Sir. I can pass it. Thank you very much. Yeah, you can.
Take it easy. I can begin with. Okay, just a couple things right off the bat. Can you hear me okay? First off, the whole neighborhood's not here. I received several text messages from people being recruited to come to the meeting, but they're not coming and they're not here. Ms. Lemire was leading the charge for that. Just to kind of address some of those things. I thought we were gonna stick to relevance in the meeting about the dog attack, but we've gotten way off base, okay? So I don't think you can consider any evidence of an alleged previous dog attack. It would amount to hearsay, because nobody here was involved in it that's testified before you. A dog was disemboweled on my property. Again, if we could find proof of that, that would be great.
You were cited.
This is what he does, he hides it.
You were cited for
Can
that.
we-
Folks, I was quiet when they testified. I would appreciate if they would be quiet as well. Okay? I was not cited for that. A murder in the cul-de-sac. The dog was not murdered in the cul-de-sac. Yes, one of my dogs did attack the Dyer's dog after my 13-year-old daughter let it out inadvertently, and their dog did die some days or weeks later. Probably from the result of the attack. That dog was immediately taken out, and again, there was no, I don't know if the Dyers made a report, but the dog was immediately removed. And again, that is evidence not relevant to this case at hand, and it cannot be considered. You know, they're making jumps that I have the dogs to protect myself. I'm quite capable of protecting myself. You know, I don't need a dog to do that.
Somebody commented the dogs are not pets, they're outside 90% of the time. Again, there's zero proof to that. I can show you videos of my backyard where the dogs are not there. They're mostly indoor dogs. I would also say that Miss Richard, her husband has been arrested. He's not a fan of mine. Arrested by the Charlton Police Department for charges. I would just take, if you could take that in consideration, where she's coming from. Also, Mr. Walsh, excuse me, I'm talking, thinking. It's a public record, okay? You can read it, you can Google it. Mr. Walsh has been arrested on several occasions.
Very little to do
Can
with
we-
what we're.
I agree, but I have to, you allow, respectfully,
Can I
yes,
just
sir.
make a statement? We
Yes.
allowed testimony to go off loud, so please let Mr. Murphy speak and give his testimony, and then we'll.
Respectfully, I just want to address what was said about me, that's all. And I won't be much longer. So, you know, the Walshes have been the subject of no trespass orders on my property. Their their children were a nuisance on the property, splashing in my pool at the time, and all sorts of craziness. So I think the chief is here. I'm sure he could verify that in short order. You could also verify that there are no calls for service at my house, and I'm not the subject of any calls for service at my house, and none of this has been reported to the police. This is convenient that they're jumping on right now. And then Mr. Walsh talks about his farm. He lives on a quarter-acre lot, and he has all these pets in the middle of a neighborhood. I don't know how that goes on, but he also runs a motorcycle repair facility that's unlicensed. I don't know how that goes on. Again, I'm just going to address those things. So, moving on to the document that's in front of you, if you would. Can I just grab some water real quick, if you wouldn't mind? Okay, so in regard to Ms. Sears' report, a couple things, the way it's written, and basically she sat up here and read her report verbatim out of her folder, or whatever she had with her. And these would just be questions to her, and I would ask that you guys can keep a copy of this and kind of answer these questions. I can ask them each out loud and read it into the record, or you can make your own decision in the interest of time.
Emily, I do have if you don't mind, I have a question for Emily that, just if you could come up, just something that you mentioned before you closed your testimony. You said that Ms. Murphy said she could not positively identify the dog from the video. As you've seen both, I assume you've seen Hulk in person and seen the video, can you identify that that's the dog in the video? Could you positively ID that dog as being Hulk in the video?
No.
So we have the owner saying that that wasn't her dog in the video. We have the animal control officer who's testifying that she cannot possibly identify that dog in the video, so we cannot positively identify that Hulk was the dog that caused the attack. Is that fair?
Correct.
statement?
I think it would make most sense to show pictures of the dogs to Kristen. She was the only one there. She's the one who went through the incident, and say, you know, which of these dogs, if any, are the ones that attacked you. The video was blurry. You couldn't see the color of the collar. It's a very tail end of the video. It's not a great video.
May I, sir?
Yes.
It just furthers that, if you fast forward to the last couple pages of the document, there is an unofficial transcript of the 911 call that comes in, and she says it in her own words. She doesn't know what dog it is. You know, I would suspect that everybody's had a chance to get together over the last near a month and get their stories in order, and some people are here that had zero to do with it, or even aren't mentioned into the report. I would say that they, you know, the identity is the first thing we start with, and I think, Emily, you never came to my house.
That is because there was some emailing back and forth, and I was working with my department on what should be done in the process of, between the emails between us and me, myself, and Jean and Sean.
I'm a little confused here, so, I'm sorry, Mr. Murphy, so you saying that, Kristen, that's you, right? That's you, ma'am? So you saying that she honestly don't recognize the dog from her own street who attacked her? There's a confusion on this? I'm confused. I'm so confused.
So, right now, I was asking about the video. So the video that was presented into evidence of the recording of the attack, Emily, and at the conclusion of Emily's statement, she made a comment that Miss Murphy could not possibly identify the dog. So I just wanted to confirm with Emily if she has seen Hulk, if she could identify the dog, and that's asked and been answered. And I just wanted to give Mr. Murphy a couple opportunities to ask some of his questions on Emily's report, and then we can move on from there.
Thank you.
If that's fine.
Would you like to grab your report for reference, or would you like to just do it off the top of your head?
No, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a couple questions too, which is fine.
Sure. Emily, have we ever spoken before?
No.
Okay. So you never came to my house to meet me or see the dog?
Correct.
Okay. Is that a normal policy?
No, I was going off of the officer's report. And then, like I had mentioned, we received an email from Sean's wife, Jean, about some questions in my report. And like I had mentioned, going off of what I was told from the higher-ups, there was just, I couldn't respond how I would usually respond because of issues they had with my report, and I was trying to keep everything to the hearing.
So the answer is no. So it starts out in the report, I don't know if you have a copy, it's attached to the document I gave you. Ms. Berthium was drawn to screams she heard. But she also says that it was a dog attack, so I'm not sure how her screams got her to that. I would, I listed further in the document, but if you heard screams in your neighborhood, wouldn't you call the police? How did you know the dog was involved? Then she responded to the residents while she was on the phone with her. How did she know to go to the residents? The video shows them going inside. I mean, we can go on and on and on.
Yeah,
here.
We can definitely
Yes.
go on and on splitting
Yes, and
hairs. I think there was we can agree on that there was a noise heard which caused a response, which led to a 911 call. I mean, I'm sure it was very chaotic, very busy, and there's probably some blurring of the details, but I think we could all agree that noise was heard, 911 was called.
Yep.
Miss Lemire wound up in the residence and
Yep.
take it from there.
I agree, thank you. So, I think the 911 transcript is the most evidentiary thing. Without getting into time, you guys can, I don't know if you're ruling tonight or take this under advisement and look at some of the stuff. And I don't mean to be overcritical of Emily and her job and her performance, but it's something that obviously I'm taking very seriously. So I think right out of the gate, you can't identify the dog positively. In Ms. Lemire's own words, she does not know, and she says it twice. And then there's a description offered by somebody in the background, which again, isn't helpful to somebody's own recollection of the incident.
Just so I can have Emily go back, do you have any further questions for her, or were you satisfied with?
I'm trying not to get ticky-tacky here,
Yeah.
and in the interest of time, I think you get my point. There's some problematic areas of the reports and things that aren't addressed, and certainly if you read my document, it'll be evident to you. At the end, just, like a couple of add-ons. I've showed the pictures provided to me of the dog to several veterinarians, to include Tufts Medical Center, and none of them can find an injury on that dog. I guess my question to Emily is, how many incidents have you investigated with a dog attacked another dog where there was no injuries?
That's hard to say. I get a lot of dog bites, and there's some that have very minor dog bites on them. There's some that have severe, and there are some that none, where the owner or not the owner, nobody gets bit. It's simply just an attack that has no injury.
Okay, and in the video that you produced, could you see a dog biting another dog or a person?
I could not because it was the tail end of the video. All I could see, which I stated in my report, is that the dog was jumping up and down on Kristen.
Well, she's presuming that it's a tail end of the video. I mean, we don't know if there was a trespass involved. Again, we don't know who the dog is, so.
I appreciate your point, Mr. Murphy. Can
Thank
we,
you.
can we let Emily go down? I think she's answered the
We can.
questions.
Yes, yes, sir.
Thank
No
you, Emily.
problem.
Can I add two
Thank you,
things?
Emily. Sorry about that.
Can I add something?
Yes, please.
I think what Kristen means is she couldn't identify the dog, which, if she wants to correct me, is they have two brown dogs, and they must look identical in some kind of ways, and I think that's what she meant by she couldn't identify the dog. So, like I said, if she went to the Murphys or they had spoken and she saw them, maybe she could say, yep, that was the one that was out in the street with me, that one was not. I think that might answer the question. And my other thing that I want to add is, which I had mentioned, they're unclear on how the dog got loose. And I think that would make this process a lot easier if they knew that on everybody, because then we could fix that. But if they knew how the dog got out, that would be a lot easier on all of us. So if we can maybe address that a little bit, maybe if they have any ideas, or even how the dog got back into the house once the dog bite happened. I was told the dog was already back in the house when the officer and the fire captain was at his house. So that's all.
Just one more quick question. I'll be very brief, I promise. Did you check the area for any other brown dogs registered in the greater Stafford or Oxford?
When we arrived, there were no other brown dogs loose.
That's not my question. Did you check your registration records for any other brown dogs in the area?
No, I have not.
Thank you.
Thank you.
But
Thank
that,
you.
we go off the victim of what the victim says. So that's all.
Are we ready to,
So,
I've got a few questions.
yeah, no, I think I would
Yes, sir.
like Emily's question answered, that she posed. How did the dog return to the premises? How did he get back in the fenced area?
So I was home. I let the dog out the back door. I let the dog back in the back door. I never heard any screaming. I never heard any scuffle. I heard anything. The dog went out the back door, came in the back door.
Okay. I thought
both
you just
dogs.
said you didn't know who let the dog out. You said there was 13-year-old daughter.
That was a different
That was
incident.
different.
Oh, there was a different
Yes, ma'am.
accident? Uh-huh, okay.
So to this point, have you found a potential egress, or do you think it was just?
No, I immediately inspected the fence for any type of defect, any problem whatsoever. Obviously, as Emily stated, we're in the midst of getting estimates for the fence, but it's electrified at this point to keep anything out, if it was my dog that went out, which I can't say for certain that it is.
Mr. Cronus, did you have a question?
Yeah, so you're saying if we find out it was your dog, you're going to raise the fence and then electrify it, or, but
I
it says in
would-
your report here that you're already looking to extending the height from 4 feet to 6 feet.
That was part of, yes, we are getting estimates.
So
on that.
you're doing that?
Yes, we're in the process of doing that. I mean, we're under the gun for a dangerous dog hearing that I don't even know it's my dog, so, yes, I'm proactively moving. I've had people come to the house and look at the fence. But again, I don't know for certain that it's my dog.
If he, would the other people in the crowd be fine if he put a 6-foot fence up and locked it up?
We-
Huh?
You can't pull the room.
Yeah.
What's that?
You can't pull the room on question.
Oh, scratch that question. I'm just
So-
trying to,
Regardless of the outcome of this hearing, Mr. Murphy, are you pursuing taking measures to increase the fence height at your house?
Yes.
So regardless of how this hearing goes, you're gonna increase it from a 4-foot to a 6-foot fence?
Most likely, or remain electrified. Again, I didn't want to come in here without, disparaging the process or the victim. I'm sure if it was whoever's dog it was with Miss Lemire, it was somewhat tragic or excitable or, whatever, but she does not like us, and we know that. It's been told to us by many people well prior to this incident, so any attempt at apologizing or, again, without knowing it's the dog, would be futile.
Does anybody else have questions of Mr. Murphy?
Not questions, I have a statement later, but no questions.
I don't have a question.
Did I be able to redirect any of the comments that Mr. Murphy made? 'Cause I was actually a witness to the event. Was there, I didn't see the dog.
Okay.
And the fact that my husband was arrested and
Well,
charged for drug
That-
charges.
That's irrelevant.
Well,
You're right, it's irrelevant, but a police officer raised that in a public statement
all right.
as like his defense.
Ma'am, please don't, you don't have the floor at this point, please.
I just asked if I could, and you,
you had to raise your hand to get their attention if you wanted.
I
Yes.
asked if I could get back up because the comment.
So Mr. Murphy's still up here right now, so there's no further questions of Mr. Murphy at this time?
No questions.
Oh, could I add one more item to you? I don't know if it's in your packet, but I will supply you with it. It's the actual report of the domestic animal, the bite. You have that, is that in the packet? And then, there is a letter from a citizen about my dog within the packet, contained that plays with his dog regularly and no problems. There's also a letter from the groomer that routinely works on the dog and has shown no aggression. I'm happy to provide you with a veterinarian letter that there's no aggression. I also have video of the dog's visit to Home Depot, where it interacts with other people, dog park, where it interacts with other dogs, and it's also traveling with another dog. Just, again, I didn't want to come here with nothing for you, so I wanted to kind of give you something. But what I would note, on the report of a domestic animal, she's naming the dog Peanut in her report to a Reliant Medical Group. Again, I don't know if that's in your packet. If it's not, I can provide it with you, provide it to you right now.
I think I read that somewhere.
And there's also some emails between my wife and Emily, just going back, and some text messages. It was clear from the get-go that Emily had a difficulty identifying what the dog was. It was given to us with a pink collar at one point, and it kind of went back and forth through my wife, who couldn't be here due to there was a truck fire on 290, which caused a set of events.
Okay, thank you.
Would you like that document?
I think we have it.
Yeah, we have.
Okay,
Page 44 of the deck.
and would you like the video?
The what?
The video
From,
it's my dog, post after this incident, visiting Home Depot, visiting a dog park, playing with other dogs.
I personally don't find the relevance, so I think we're good with that.
Well, it just shows it's not
Yeah,
yours.
I'm good. And ma'am, regarding your restatement, I agree that your husband's comments aren't relevant to this, so I can motion to the board that we disregard those if that satisfies your comment.
We also motioned that the other comments about me previous would be disregarded as well.
Those comments aren't pertinent to the incident that were brought forth in the complaint. So that's what we're looking at, what was brought forth, the actual complaints, what was presented to us as evidence. And it's a very emotional, very taxing experience on the whole neighborhood. And we have to see what is fact, what is provable, what we can determine. So with that being said, I'll move to any statements or comments from board members at this point.
You want to go first?
I can go first.
So my comments are just very brief. No one likes a dog hearing. I will simply state that the reality is, regarding any dog hearing, no matter what side you're on, the town, or at least this board's hands are tied as far as what we can or cannot do by state law. It's very limiting. Knowing that the dog owner is voluntarily looking into getting a 6-foot fence, my request would be for the owner, since you're looking into that anyway, to, instead of looking into a 6-foot high fence, to look into an 8-foot high fence. We've also, for my home, just had the fencing come out, and the quote they gave us between a 6-foot and an 8-foot Obviously, there's a financial implication, but it was only a few $100 difference for us to go 8 foot instead of 6. And I think that would be, again, my own personal opinion, a better course to have the extra 2 feet of height on the fence. And I think all I can do is make a request.
Thanks, sir.
So, Mr. Murphy, I'm sure in your line of work, you enjoy candor because it makes your life easier. So I'm just going to be candid with you now. Here's what I believe happened. You let your pup out, or both, or however it worked. Because I'm not sure, because it could have been either, apparently. I agree with you. Jumped over the fence, saw the dog, made an aggressive movement. I don't believe it tried to bite Kristen purposely. I think he was probably nipping at the other dog. I don't think this, based upon the definition of state law, I don't believe this rises to a dangerous dog. Is it potentially a nuisance dog? Maybe. It's a first offense on this dog, and quite honestly, everyone in the room, that's what we have to talk through. That this is the incident about one dog, which really, to testimony's point, we can't 100% identify. That being said, could it be a nuisance situation? Yeah. What I would like to see, quite frankly, is either a 7 or 8 foot fence. When your dog, when you're out walking your pup, just put a muzzle on it, just to play extra safe type of thing. Now, my question is, I would like to mandate that as a condition, but I believe the only way we can do that is to declare the dog a nuisance dog.
I think so too.
I don't believe this is from a legal definition, I do not believe this is a dangerous dog. The only reason I would say that the board might want to consider making it a nuisance dog, only so we can enforce what apparently, Mr. Murphy, you are somewhat willing to, if not completely willing to, work on those conditions regardless. So it's more of an administrative bureaucratic piece, because if we don't do it a nuisance, I'm not saying you would do this, obviously, you could just say, well, no, I'm not going to.
I don't know about the muzzle, I can't guarantee you that, just because the dog, it's a 5-year-old dog, to put a dog on a muzzle is very difficult.
Oh, I was thinking more if you walk the dog on the street.
Again, there've been 0 incidents of the dog getting off leash or the fence, so I don't think that's an issue. Clearly, nobody is gonna come near me when I'm walking my dog. And I would just point out that in order for my dog to get back into the yard, it would've had to jump over the fence again. So we're talking about 2 jumps, which is, a little bit out of,
Well, if it's a 5-year-old pit, though, I mean,
it's not a pit bull.
I
It's a
mean,
lab mix.
Oh, the lab mix, I'm sorry.
There's no, people have tried to identify the pit bull, and that's the whole problem.
That's based upon the report, that's my fault.
No problem.
So,
I don't know if that changes your muzzle requirement.
what I think we all want is to find a compromise on this. And I think if you do an 8-foot fence, electrified or not, honestly, I don't care. I'm just looking at it to say, unless your dog's like one of those Belgian mountain boy that you see on YouTube that can jump 35 feet, I find it hard to believe that's gonna get up over 8 feet. And again, I just don't know from this board if we want to declare a nuisance just to mandate that, but I think that would hopefully solve most of the problems. Because again, to the point, this is a first offense on this dog. It somehow, again, I'm assuming it was your dog, it somehow bit Kristen. I don't think it was done viciously to attack her, because that'd be a much different conversation.
Sir, if I may, I can't accept that narrative just because Emily sat here and told you she watched the video. She's an animal control officer. She can't definitively say that my dog bit anybody. Her dog could have bit her own hand. Is that possible? I mean, right? She's carrying her dog in the video. I'm not trying to be difficult.
No, I get it. It goes back to.
Yes, in your own words, you said at the beginning.
I look at it as, if
identity
you were
was-
to add up all the scenarios and all the different hearings we've ever had on this, that this is at least in my mind, that's the most likely scenario. Now, is it circumstantial? Absolutely. But it's our job to both protect your rights, but also protect those in the neighborhood from possible harm. That's where I'm trying to find that compromise. Again, I do not believe dangerousness would hold up in court at all, and nor do I think the dog is a dangerous dog based upon this. To my only question to my colleagues is, do we declare it a nuisance just to enforce the order? Outside of that, that's my only thing.
So I would challenge, or I have an issue with the muzzle part. We didn't hear any testimony that the dog in the control of the owner had any aggressive actions, lunging, so I don't see how the muzzle will.
I'll even drop the muzzle for now.
To the fence, yeah. But the question is on the technicality of it, Andrew, do we have to?
To make any order against a dog, you need
It would,
even you can't make any orders without at least making an order of either a nuisance or dangerous.
it'd be a lot easier if you just admitted that it was your dog. And we would tell you that we're not gonna declare it a nuisance dog, because it's the first offense. That would make a whole lot of things. Then we can just suggest to you, put up a 6 or 8 foot fence. Because if it happens a second time, it's not gonna be pretty for anybody.
Sir, respectfully, there is no evidence that it's my dog so far.
No,
So you're
we're
asking me to
asking you.
admit something.
But you're here and you already agreed to put up a 6 foot fence.
Again, in essence, to come into
Who
this hearing.
else's dog could it be?
Again, did Ms. Sears check the roster for any other dogs of brown in color? Have you seen the video? Have you seen my dog? I mean, you're asking me to make some jumps through some hoops here. sir.
I can speak to that,
Yes,
and
ma'am.
that's just my personal opinion. My mother was attacked by the dog that was, not to lie to you, 50 years ago. To this day, she remembers exactly what happened to her. Small bite, big bite, she's still traumatized by it. It was a
I've-
little bigger bite, but she knew who the dog was. I was attacked by the dog. I can tell you that I know exactly what dog that was that attacked me. What I'm not fond of is that it seems to me like we attacking here the truthfulness of those people's opinions too. I would love to believe that they telling us the truth, you know, just like you do. The only difference is you are you are unsure if that was your dog or not, correct?
Correct.
So you are the one who's in doubt. Kristen knows exactly what dog attacked her.
Did you listen to the 911 call?
I did.
She says, "I don't know," twice.
Not to that one, that's not how I understood it. She might have a problem differentiating between the two dogs, but she knows the dog from her own street, no?
But if we deem the dog a nuisance dog or a dangerous dog, how do we know which dog to deem? I mean, there's 2 dogs that are in question, we don't know which one, we can't identify which one. You know, what's your suggestion for which dog do we pick? If there's 2 that look the same,
This is what, no.
I'm asking.
The dog at the question, and I would have faith in you, that you, as a dog owner, you would know, right? The dog came into the house, you said you let
Both
let
dogs.
the dog.
Both dogs were out, both dogs came back in.
And neither one of them was in distress.
So, I'm gonna make a motion that we're gonna continue this hearing until Emily can confirm other dogs in the area, and she can do that research and see what is registered in the area, and if there's any other dogs that, match that description. That's,
I'm fine with that. If possible, I'd also like to see if Emily can go out to Mr. Murphy's house and just take a look at the dogs and see if that helps differentiate at all. Because I agree, this one, again, I think we have to do something, but
We do it.
at the same time, I'm also not gonna be draconian on this first incident, because it's, again, this incident. Anything that's happened in the past, to me, is irrelevant.
you know, as a personal note and as a personal resident, I think the best solution is resident-driven, and if Mr. Murphy is willing to make adjustments to the fence, I think that's more effective than any motion or any implication that we're gonna enforce, you know, the owner's engagement in making sure his pets in this neighborhood stay safe.
I just want an 8-foot fence.
Yeah,
You know,
me too.
whether we order it or whether you put it up.
Sure.
That's honestly all I'm looking for.
Yeah, to Mr. Singer's point, if 6 to 8 is not a huge difference, then I'll absolutely consider it.
Yeah, I mean, maybe even I know you have a motion, Pete, so second for discussion. So I'd even say, again, I don't know the timeframes on fencing, I know nothing about that type of stuff.
They're very, very busy right now,
Yeah.
so it's even difficult to get somebody out for an estimate.
But if we can even get numbers from you prior to the next meeting in June,
Sure.
that here is your plan, here is exactly whom you've now had a contract with, or something on those lines, that would, at least for me, that would go a long way to ameliorating a lot of these issues.
Sure.
And Emily, if you can do your research too, so that way we have it, you know, recorded of you at least working on it, and we will know, hopefully there's no next time, but for the future use.
How many feet of fence are you talking? Is it all the way around the yard? Or-
Yeah, it's probably a good 250, 275, somewhere in there.
just a request for Emily, and if you're going out anyway, if, while you're there, take a look and see if anything catches your eye that might have been an escape route. You see these all the time. I think would be good. And then for Mr. Murphy, I don't know if you've checked, but there are, and I don't know if they're any quicker or not, but there are several fencing companies in Charlton.
Yes.
Priority Fence, Charlton Fence, and I don't know if any of them could come quicker. I don't know.
Appreciate it.
So I'm fine continuing with that stuff. And again, last point, like I said, Mr. Murphy, you put up that fence, most of this goes away.
So we wait, so we put it off for 30 days for,
Be for the next meeting.
For the next meeting.
June, was it 11th, we said?
I mean, at this point, I don't think we have the evidence to make a decision, I mean, unless people wanna make a decision, but we do have a motion in a second, and we are in discussion, so we need to vote.
Yeah. I'd rather do full due diligence, and if we can find a way, again, if there's a way around all of the other stuff, to put the fence up that will protect your dogs, at the same time, it will, I'd assume to give some peace of mind to the neighbors. That, to me, is best case scenario, so we don't even have to talk nuisance or dangerous dogs this time around. But I'd like to move the question at this point.
All right, just a question, so,
Just one more to your point, I just, again, I don't wanna come out and spend, Mr. Singer knows how much he spent, and, a significant amount of money if we're just gonna turn around and deem it a nuisance dog, you know what I mean? So, that's all.
I think the only delta would be, at least speaking on behalf of me, the only reason I would declare it a nuisance dog would be just so we would enforce the order,
Sure.
which if you do it anyway, then by its very fact, it's,
Yeah, I just don't,
Yeah.
yeah.
And then even if that was the end result, the conditions per Emily for the nuisance dog, pretty much I think you've already meet them all, except for the fence.
Yep.
So the only thing that would come of declaring it a nuisance dog would be the enforcement of the 8-foot fence, which if you're already doing it, to Mr. Borowski's point, would become moot at that point.
so, yeah, I'm fine staying until June 11th and then making a decision then.
okay, and we have your motion to move, do we have a second?
Yep.
Yeah.
So we have a motion to move in a second. All right, all in favor of continuance to June 11th?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous.
All right, see you guys back then.
Thank you.
Andrew, can you make sure we send out the recommendations for nuisance and everything else on the 11th?
Yeah.
I'm gonna leave you with that too.
Where we at?
All right, did you
T,
have some business unknown at the time of posting?
Mr. Chair,
TA report.
Yeah, look.
I have a,
so where are we now?
okay,
You go first.
you wanna go first? All right, so,
He's in charge, he can do whatever he wants.
I yield.
I already called it.
that's
We
okay.
had some motion, some business unknown at the time of posting.
Three items to add under business unknown at time of posting that just came about yesterday, so there was no time to get on the agenda, and one request. And one request is just for, if I may, Mr. Chair, through you, Andrew, if we can try to find out through our legislators if there's any updates on what the state is doing as far as PFAS and crumbling foundations. I just want to make sure we're staying on top of that. And so if there's any movement at the state level, we need to know. So the three things I need to ask that came about from Memorial Day. One is we have a flag policy in town regarding what flies in front of town hall, but there is a loophole. And I would ask the board to consider, I discussed this with Andrew, and the best course of action would be, instead of a bylaw or a new bylaw, just simply closing the loophole in our existing bylaw that specifies that only the three flags flying in front of town hall are allowed to fly: the American flag, state flag, and the POW MIA flag. Do I do it one at a time and just deal with that first? The request to close that loophole by making that mandatory?
That's fine.
Does that be my motion?
if you want, we could probably put this on the next agenda. I'll have the official policy.
Yeah, I was gonna say, just the policy.
Yeah.
Perfect, okay. Number two, I'd like to form a Field of Flags committee. Mr. Lancet, or Selectman Lancet, forgive me, volunteered to be on that with me, if the board would indulge me, to put the committee together with myself and Mr. Lancet, along with a representative from the Legion, to look into acquiring those little American flags on sticks, to create our own Field of Flags for Memorial Day and Veterans Day. So do I need I'll make a motion if I need to form the committee with myself and Mr. Lancet and a representation from the Legion?
Sure, I'll second it.
So motion and second,
We have a
is there
motion
any
and a
discussion?
second, any discussion?
No.
No discussion, all in favor?
Aye. And then the last,
Unanimous.
thank you. And then the last, also regarding Memorial Day, I learned something new from Representative Marcy's speech. I had no idea that President Clinton, when he was in office, had put in, signed into, it's into law, but he signed an act that at 3 p.m. on Memorial Day, there would be a moment of silence. And the idea came up that, as I know, there's a Remembrance Day in the state of Israel where I think it's at sundown, but they sound sirens for 2 minutes nationwide. The entire country comes to a halt. It's incredible if you see the videos. Cars on the highway just stop. People get out of their cars and stand in a moment of silence for 2 minutes. Since we do have the act from President Clinton for 3 p.m., and we always step off at 2, and we had this conversation at the Legion yesterday, we always finish around 3 o'clock, right when President Clinton's act is supposed to occur. So my request, and the Legion also loved the idea, would be that at 3 o'clock, which is right around when we conclude our ceremonies, we have a siren, fire station, police station, pay path, wherever, or cruiser. We don't have to do 2 minutes, but a moment of silence with the sirens. It could be 30 seconds, just for a moment of silence as well. And it would be a new Memorial Day tradition for the town of Charlton.
I mean, I have no problem with that. I'd like to read the act first, or like the summary of it, but outside of that, I mean, assuming that's what it is, I have no problem with it.
No, I think we need to look up to make sure that's when it is, though.
We can
Because-
verify.
Yeah,
So,
that's
so I would ask then, or I would make my motion then that we do this on every Memorial Day going forward based upon Andrew confirming what Representative Marcy said about it being a moment of silence at 3 p.m. so that we don't have to have the conversation again. If Andrew can confirm it, then it's already set.
What do you
And
want?
if it's not confirmed, it doesn't happen.
Do you want a moment of silence, or do you want a horn?
So what happens is the siren happens, and during the siren blares, or whatever you call it, and it's during that 30 seconds, or whatever the length of time is, it plays for that duration when everyone stands there in a moment of silence during the siren.
I just want to read the act first. I mean, again, I'm not opposed to the concept of it, just,
That's why I made my motion, so that, based upon Andrew confirming.
can we push it till June, to next meeting? Just so we can read it first.
Andrew, can you get that, or ask Representative, yeah, they said that day, Representative Marcy to get us that act or look it up.
Yeah. Again, I'm not opposed to
I
the
always,
idea, I just want
I
to read
always
it.
thought it was, just, it follows the flag. So the flags at sunrise go to half-mast, and then at noon, there's a moment of silence, and then at noon on Memorial Day, the flags go back up to full.
So that's the flag protocol, but that's separate from.
No, but it followed, it went along with the moment of silence.
We can figure it out
That's
next,
what I read.
next meeting.
Right.
I read it a long time ago.
Yeah, we actually had that.
If we're gonna make it a rule, we gotta make sure. we
Yeah,
do it right.
no, I agree. We actually had that conversation at the Legion, and that was the flag protocol, which was separate from President Clinton's act.
All right, so
Just
we're
got a
gonna,
lot of
we're gonna
feedback.
table that to next meeting till we have some further.
Yeah, I just want to read it first.
All right, that's fine.
So Andrew, could you please make sure it's on the next?
All right. Anything
And then-
else?
No, just for the committee, I don't know if we have to, or if Andrew can reach out to the Legion to get a representative to meet with us and work on that for the flags, the field of flags.
All right, moving right along to the town administrator report.
All right, just a few things. So, Maynard Field, we did receive bids on the Maynard Field ADA project on the 22nd. We did receive a number of bids, and McClure Engineering is in the process of reviewing the cost items and submittals with each bid. Once we have completed the review, a contract and notice of award will be issued to the lowest responsive and responsible bidder. Right now, the apparent low bidder is the same contractor that was awarded the sidewalk project, so those two will probably be done in concurrence, assuming that that bid does hold. And then for Cemetery Commission, I just wanted to thank Randy Gary for his donation of a Husqvarna lawn tractor as well as an Aaron snow blower to the cemetery department. This was really a gracious donation that was accepted by the Cemetery Commission, and I've sent him a letter thanking him
Thank
for
you
his
for that.
donation.
That's great, thank you.
Very nice.
That's cool.
That's all I got.
All right, so we have our next regular scheduled selectmen's meeting, June 11th, 2024, in this room at 6:30.
Mr. Chairman, if the board so obliges, I'd like to make a motion to go in executive session and then adjourn under MGL Chapter 38, Section 21A, Number 3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining or litigation, TA contract amendment. If an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining or litigating position of the public body and the chair so declares, to return to open session if needed and to adjourn.
You have a motion.
You need to declare, right? Just chair does declare.
You just said, yeah, technically you have to declare that, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a good reason. Yeah.
Okay. Second. Singer, aye.
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 Thanks, everybody. Thank you, Jacob. Good seeing you as always. See you, Dan.